All right. So, unless you've been living under a rock, you have seen some content pop up that is giving a revival or a resurgence to aquarium technology that has been obsolete for over 25 years. And that is the Undergravel filter. So, in this video today, I'm going to be talking about why undergravel filters are not popular, and I'm going to be showing you two aquariums full of gravel, one with little to no aquarium waste in the gravel. This tank was set up several months ago, but it has very little livestock inside. Then I've got another tank here that's been set up for a couple years, as you can see here, and it is full to the brim of aquarium waste. You can see it here. I've got a flashlight shining on it, kind of accentuating it there. And this buildup is from shrimp and fish over a period of years. And we're going to talk about exactly what's in that detritus. We're going to talk about beneficial bacteria and how both of these aquariums are able to grow beautiful plants with absolutely no filter. There's no hang on back filter. There's no sponge filters. Now, I must say, you can see the bubbles of a sponge filter in this aquarium directly next door. I'm not against filtration. I'm not by any means saying that you need to set up your aquariums like these. These are just two of several aquariums that I have, and this one next door has absolutely no substrate at all. Look at all those beautiful aquarium plants that are simply weighed down in this aquarium using plant weights with absolutely no substrate. So how does all of this work? Why are undergravel filters unpopular? If you're new to the hobby, there's a chance you've never even heard of an undergravel filter. So real quick, I'm going to bring up on screen here some test results. And what you're seeing is the results of a professional lab test that I've done. I've got several videos on my channel about that lab test. If you're interested in learning more, check out my channel. But this is regular aquarium waste from just standard aquariums with fish and snails and shrimp. And what you see there is all of the ingredients of fertilizer. That's right. Usually you'll hear aquarium waste described as excess nutrients or excess nitrates, and no one has ever thought to test it. Now, why? I have no clue. It was very inexpensive to do. You most likely have a soil and wastewater analysis lab in your state. You probably have more than one, and it's a very easy thing to just take your aquarium waste from your water change and send it to the lab, and they'll give you a report like this. Now, there are some online testing services you can do, and they are quite expensive in comparison, so I urge you to look locally. So this stuff right here, all this waste that you see built up in this aquarium, has everything plants need to thrive. Now this tank and the tank next to it, this is just pearlweed. It's a very simple aquarium plant, but that doesn't mean it needs any less than any other aquarium plants. They all eat the same thing. And if you can grow this, you can grow any other plant in the hobby. It's not any easier to grow in that sense. They all need the same basic nutrients. So real quick here, you'll notice towards the bottom of these plants, they're a little scraggly, and that's because all of this top section is blocking the light. So that's why it looks like that. It's not from any kind of deficiency. Well, it's from a light deficiency, but it's not from any kind of nutrient deficiency. But so why would I need to add an undergravel filter to this aquarium? why would I want to add an undergravel filter to this aquarium? Other than a major creator here on YouTube has started 3D printing and selling them and making money off them. Is there any other reason why I would need to convert these two aquariums to having a plate underneath the substrate that sucks the water through here, sucks the water through the gravel, and then pushes the water up a tube that sprays it out at the top of the aquarium? Why would I need to do that? Well, to understand that, you would have to understand basically why undergravel filters were originally invented a long time ago, possibly even before you were born. So undergravel filters operate on the premise that it's turning this whole substrate area into basically a filter. So your hang-on back filter, if you use one, or a sponge filter, is going to have a lot of pores either in the sponge or in the filter media. And those pores are going to hold beneficial bacteria. Now, there's one kind of beneficial bacteria that breaks down the waste in your aquarium. This is called decomposer bacteria. Decomposer bacteria breaks down the waste in your aquarium, and it releases all the nutrients that we saw on my testing into the water column. It makes your aquarium like a nutrient soup. But with an undergravel filter, if you allow it to fill up with detritus or aquarium waste like you see here, see all that? Oh, let me turn the flashlight down a little bit. See all that aquarium waste? If you let your gravel build up with aquarium waste like that, it's going to clog your undergravel filter. Now, how do you vacuum out all of that detritus if you've got a jungle of plants in there? Well, you can't. So you're going to run into a problem there. If you try to run an undergravel filter in a jungle like this. But that's neither here nor there. What we're explaining right now is how and why undergravel filters were invented and why they were used initially before they became obsolete. So the purpose of the undergravel filter was to pull the water down through this substrate, creating flow. Again, the idea is pulling the water through the substrate, and the substrate becomes the filter. When it came out, there really wasn't a hang-on back filter. The hang-on back filter completely replaced the undergravel filter. Why? Well, the main reason why is if your hang-on back filter clogs up or when it gets too dirty, it's very easy to clean. That's the main reason why. Now, there's different kinds of undergravel filters as far as operating it with an air stone, or maybe you're doing an undergravel filter for your aquarium and you're using a power head. There's a ton of different ways to use it, but the reality is there's a reason why PetSmart and Petco do not sell undergravel filters. And it's not because they don't make any money off of them. It's not because they only want to sell hang-on back filters because there's replacement cartridges. So the undergravel filter, completely obsolete for longer than some of you have been alive. Should your local fish store order a case of them? Should they? Is anyone going to buy them? Should you start trying to 3D print undergravel filters? I can tell you that there's undergravel filters for sale on Amazon, and there has been. The cool thing about Amazon is for items that are popular, it tells you how many of them have sold in the last month or in the last week. And when you look at something like, oh, I don't know, the Aqua Clear filter, the hang-on back filter, the most popular hang-on back filter for the last 40 years, thousands sold. When you look at the most popular undergravel filters, 50. Out of the whole United States, 50. That's it. Now, I'm not saying undergravel filters don't work. Do they pull water through your substrate and eject it up at the top of the tube? Sure, when they're not clogged up. But there's a reason why 25 years ago people stopped using them. Now, I've made some real headway in both the colorful Amano shrimp breeding projects that I have going on, as well as the longfin celestial pearl danio project. I started a big batch of baby longfin celestial pearl danios in this exact tank here, and they got big enough that I moved a couple of them over to this tank, just a few to take care of, like, you know, detritus worm, seed shrimp, the random stuff that you usually find floating around in a tank with no predators. And then I've got a shrimp tank underneath here that has the rest of the babies in it. They haven't gotten big enough yet for me to try to judge if any of them are growing fins at a longer or a faster rate than any of the other babies. But it's going to be an interesting experiment to try to get more celestial pearl danios that have that long, beautiful flowing fins on them. I've got one male so far, and I'm trying to get more. And again, those little babies that are in here, there's actually 2 in there. I'm watching them as well, their fin growth. So we'll see over time whether or not we're going to get more longfin CPDs. If you're interested in that or any of the other subjects we talked about, make sure you keep an eye on the channel, where I'll be doing more content on stuff like this. So I appreciate you checking out the video. Again, make sure you hit that subscribe button. Check out the channel. I've got some playlists if you're into breeding Amano shrimp or celestial pearl danios that are really rare because their fins are extra long. We'll see you in the next one.